Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, tonight, some disturbing news out of Paradise Valley. 17 sled dogs found abandoned, neglected, and emotionally and physically distressed. One had already died. Well, sheriff's officials, along with animal shelter employees, rescued the sled dogs as part of an animal cruelty case this week. MTN's Nick Petriccioni went to Livingston today to check in on those animals.
They were pretty rough. You know, they had been obviously left for a while by themselves. They just needed some care.
On Tuesday, 17 sled dogs were found in Paradise Valley that the Park County Sheriff's Office determined were neglected and abandoned, tethered to 6-foot chains and living in barrels. When officials arrived, one of the Alaskan Huskies was dead. Another needed to be humanely put down. The rest were taken into the Stafford Animal Shelter for care.
We had some assistance from our veterinary partners next door at Sleeping Giant, and we just kind of did an assembly line. We examined everyone, prescribed medications for anyone who needed them, vaccinated everyone.
What a difference 2 days has made. The dogs are recovering and on the road to adoption pending legal resolution in the case. The Park County Sheriff's Office said they could not release further information on an ongoing investigation. But the Park County Attorney's Office told MTN News that no charges have been filed at this time.
Here at the Stafford Animal Shelter, they say they have been blown away, not just by the Montana community support they've received, but from every corner of the country of people who are willing to adopt these dogs.
It means so much to have community support for these animals. Just knowing that the community cares about animals and animal welfare and wants to see these guys have a happy life means a lot to us.
In Livingston, Nick Petriccioni, MTN News.
Now, MTN will continue following this story and case, and we'll have the latest as it develops. Well, weekly figures from the Department of Labor indicate 3 million Americans filed initial claims for unemployment last week. As Montana moves forward to reopen, those currently on unemployment may have a lot of questions. MTN's Annie Johnson talked with an expert today and breaks it down for us.
One day you're working from home and the next your employer might be asking you to come back to work. But what's your rights as an employer and as an employee?
This is a unique time where I've never had to say it depends with almost every legal question posed that's related to any of the policy changes around COVID, because they are updating them so frequently.
So let's break it down, starting with the employee.
If the employer offers them their job back, they do need to come back. Otherwise, they will not. If they refuse to return to work, then there is a good possibility that they will not be eligible for unemployment.
But there are several circumstances where an employee has valid reason to not return.
If they're a primary child caregiver and there's nobody else at home, and that's the reason that they're refusing to return to work, or if they are a caregiver for somebody who's been affected by COVID.
And the employer has specific responsibilities to uphold before they can ask employees to return.
The employer who's asking them to come back is still required to be following the phased reopening directives.
But a responsibility the employer doesn't have is determining whether someone can or cannot receive unemployment benefits.
Whether or not they continue to receive unemployment benefits is made by the Department of Labor, not the employer.
If either party has concerns, the best place to start is the Department of Labor's website.
Go to the website and look and see if any of the questions posed have an immediate answer, or at least some guidance so that they know if they have recourse.
There's so much information out there for both employers and employees to find a reasonable solution. Reporting in Bozeman, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
Thanks, Annie. Now, more than 36 million Americans have applied for unemployment benefits within the last 8 weeks. Well, today, Governor Bullock announced he would allocate $5 million from the Federal CARES Act to expand energy assistance for thousands of Montanans. Now, that money will assist about 18,000 current low-income energy assistance program clients. Current LEAP program recipients will automatically receive the supplemental assistance. The supplemental benefit will be applied toward each of their electric bills.
Oftentimes, we hear of customers or participants that have to make that choice between paying their energy bill or buying food or paying other costs that are associated.
The emergency COVID-19 energy assistance program will use a 1-month income look-back period to determine eligibility. The benefit period will run from today through August 1st or until the funds are all gone. More than $1.7 billion in federally backed small business loans are now approved for 21,000 Montana businesses. But some additional money for those potentially forgivable loans is still available. The money is from the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, approved by Congress in late March. 2 rounds of financing have been approved and the money is all but gone. But Montana banks are still accepting loan applications. The Small Business Administration is consistently updating its rules, so it's important for businesses to check in with their banker on where things stand. For example, today was supposed to be the deadline for businesses that didn't use their loans to return them without penalty. But that deadline is now extended to Monday.
It's a very fluid program, very complicated in terms of how the rules are being modified as they go. So, rather than stay home and fret and stew and wonder how you're going to stand your business back up again, work closely with your banker because they can help in a lot of different ways.
The PPP loans are supposed to cover payroll and other expenses for businesses shut down or operations curtailed during the pandemic. Well, we have new at this hour. We have some breaking news. We have confirmed that 4 new positive cases had just came back from Bighorn County. That's 4 positive cases of COVID-19. We have no other information at this hour. Bighorn also says they are still awaiting more test results. Now, those 4 new cases would bring the total number in Bighorn County to 8. Now, the state health authorities report no new confirmed coronavirus cases across Montana today. Now, the state shows 15 active cases and 3 of those individuals are in the hospital. In Wyoming, the state reports 9 new confirmed cases today, bringing the state's total to 529. Fremont County still sits with the highest count at 193 confirmed cases. The Wyoming Air National Guard's 153rd Airlift Wing will salute healthcare professionals on the front lines tomorrow. The Air Guard pilots will take off from Torrington at 9:15 in the morning in 2 C-130s and fly over each hospital across the Cowboy State. Well, if you live in the Sheridan area, make sure to look up around 10:40 a.m. The pilots will then head west to Lovell and Powell and on to Cody around 11:15. The demonstration is part of Operation American Resolve, a nationwide salute. Well, the COVID-19 storm has nearly brought air travel to a standstill across America and around the world. That is evident in the latest numbers from Billings Logan International Airport. The number of departing or connecting passengers from Billings dropped by more than 90% in April compared to last year. An average of just 78 people flew out of Billings during the month compared to 1,175 a day in April 2019. Now, flights by nearly all of the carriers serving Billings have been reduced during this pandemic, with only Cape Air still flying its normal schedule of 13 flights a day. There has been a slight uptick of passengers so far in May, that number averaging about 160 a day. While that is just a fraction of how many would normally be flying, Airport Director Kevin Plone says it is at least a move in the right direction. Well, along with Laurel's Drive-In Theater, 2 Billings indoor theaters, the Art House and the Babcock, are ready to open their doors. Creative director for both theaters, Brian Ostrike, says the Art House will have a soft reopening tomorrow, while the Babcock will reopen on May 22nd. Art House members will be invited into the theater Friday to enjoy the film Balloon. That same film will also be available on the Art House website for members that are not comfortable being back in the theater just yet. Now, then next Friday, the Babcock will reopen to all members to enjoy the classic film Jurassic Park. As of now, the Babcock will allow about 200 people per screening. That's down from the normal seating capacity of 700. Well, ahead on tonight's 5:30 News, the Montana Public Service Commission race is on. Jay Cohn brings us a closer look at the candidates wanting your vote. And in sports tonight, last fall, the Columbus locker room was burglarized and 2 cars stolen during a home game. Scott has an update.
And coming up in weather, we got a little bit of rain in the Billings area today, but all the computer models are coming together for tomorrow. And we're talking about some significant rain. We'll chat about that coming up in a few more minutes.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.